You with me, Dan? Thank you. I know. Anyway, hello. Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see you all again. Today I would like to talk to you a little bit about the special session of the legislature. As you know, in the private sector, we see some positive signs. We see retail sales going up 6%. We have heard about car sales going up by 22%, exports going up by more than 20%. The stock market is up, and all kinds of good things we hear. So there's a little bit of good signs that we see. But in the public sector, we still have a big problem with the budget and with our budget deficit. As you know, the legislative analyst has said that California faces a potential of $5 to $6 billion deficit this fiscal year. So today I'm declaring a fiscal emergency and calling the legislature into a special session to address this shortfall. Today will also send the legislature a proposal to close that gap. It includes $9.9 billion in solutions, including $7 billion in spending cuts, and the bulk which will come from health and human services. This will not only help this current fiscal year, but also the year of 11 and 12. Some journalists and some people in my own staff and friends have said maybe it's a waste of time to call a special session because the legislators will not respond, that they are concerned that it will be, tougher to deal with me than with the next governor. Why not wait until January? Why not do it all in one shot? And various different reasons why they shouldn't do it. But the bottom line is, I always said that I will go and charge through the finish line. That I took the oath to serve as California's chief executive until January 3rd. And I will serve the people of California until the last second, until the next governor is sworn in. So there's a lot of work that still can be done. So why would I stop in December or in November? Wouldn't make any sense. Second, having cut billions of dollars of the budget in the past, we know that there are no more low-hanging fruits. And the longer we wait, the harder it will get. So anyone that thinks differently, I think that the legislators knows that, and the governor-elect is painfully aware of all of those problems and challenges. Third, making any amount of cuts now is the responsible thing to do. Any governor would call for a special session right now. Any governor would try to make cuts because the sooner we make them, the better it is. We have seen time and time again that failing to act in a timely manner makes the problem worse and the cuts more painful. Every month of inaction, the state will spend hundreds of millions of dollars more than we actually take in. Finally, I want to do everything that I can in order to make the budget a little bit easier for the next governor. He will no doubt inherit a deficit just like I did the first year when I came into office. I'm very happy that we responded very quickly when I came into office, and we were very fortunate that the economy increased, revenues increased very quickly, and the jobs increased, and so on. But, of course, we were hit then by another recession, by the biggest recession since, the Great Depression. As a matter of fact, it rocked our state with such force that the fault lines in our budget system became craters. And it exposed, actually, our vulnerabilities, our areas, for instance, our volatile tax system and revenues, and how we have an unsustainable level of spending, more than we take in. So I think even though there's a lot of tough work ahead, and also more tough decisions remain, but we have made some great progress in putting California's finances on a little bit more solid grounds. Progress that I'm very proud of, like spending under my administration was the lowest of any governor in history. We have only had increases of 1.3% year over year. We also passed significant pension and budget reforms that will help future governors, as well as reforms to CalWorks, Medi-Cal, and the parole system and government purchasing and so on. California also tightened the noose, so we cannot continue spending the way we did. As you know, with Propositions 58 and Propositions 1A and Propositions 22 and 26, and the list goes on and on, it took the ability away to steal from local governments or from transportation or to borrow money for ongoing programs. This will help governors and legislators balance future budgets for generations to come. So we are very proud of that accomplishment. Now, of course, the whole thing was not easy to do those reforms and do the kind of work that we have done. Accomplishing those reforms required leveraging late budgets, issuing IOUs, and enduring daily protests. Now, I paid the price politically, but I always made it clear when I came into office that political courage is not political suicide. So I'm looking forward to continuing working with the governor-elect, make the transition easy for him, and so he can get in and do the work. And I'm looking forward working also with the legislators this month. With that, I want to open it up to questions, if you have any.
You say you're going to work with the legislators this month. The Assembly's split already till January. Are they telling you to go jump in the lake, essentially?
No. As a matter of fact, we called a special session today, and I'm looking forward to working with them from the day on. And there's a lot of issues, if it is budget issues, if it is RPS, if it is plastic bags, there's all kinds of things that we can work on. If we sit down, there's a lot of things that we can get done before the new year.
But they're not here. They're gone.
Maybe they come back.
Governor, could you take a moment and try to explain for us a little bit, if you could, why you think Californians misunderstand the budget process so much, and maybe possibly any role you could have had differently in that? When we look at polls, they still want no taxes, but they want no cuts to education, no cuts to social services. They think it's all waste, fraud, and abuse. Why don't they get it?
Well, first of all, I think that it has a lot to do with that you guys are confusing them, too. Because when I open up the paper and they read that the new budget deficit is $25.5 billion, where do you get that information? And since when are we trying to confuse the people to all of a sudden make it an 18-month budget? The current budget deficit is $6 billion, according to the legislative analyst. So when you go out and you tell people that you have a $25 billion deficit, that's the wrong information. Because we always go year by year. So people get confused. I've had people come up to me and say, oh my God, you just did the budget. Remember when you were here in the morning, you said you were so happy you got the budget done? It was 2 months ago. How could you be $25 billion budget deficit already? I say it is not. So I had to explain that sometimes the press does not identify that this year it's $6 billion, and if nothing is done this year, then next fiscal year, it could be potentially $25.5 billion. So the people get confused. They have no idea how this works. And that's just one complication. The other one is it's a very complicated thing. As you know, that people even in this building don't know a lot of times, how complicated it is. I mean, there's only 3 people in the state of California that understand Proposition 4098, the education proposition. So it's a very difficult thing. But one thing everyone understands, and that is that we have to live within our means. And people expect our state to live within its means. The money that we take in, that's all the money we can spend.
Could I follow up? Do you
Yes.
believe you had any role in that, in what they understand or don't understand? Could you have done more?
Let's assume yes. So maybe we all have to go and to work a little harder.
Governor,
Yes.
You've identified $7 billion in cuts here. Do you have any legislators on board now you can identify who are willing to carry legislation forward to make these cuts happen?
This is our proposal. We know there's 120 different minds up there that have different ideas. I think the important thing is for us to work together and to get some of those cuts done. And you should also know that why it is very important to do this, to start now. Anna can go into more details. Anna Montesantos is right over there, our great budget genius. She can explain it. But it takes a long time to make cuts actually go into effect. Sometimes 3 months, some 4 months, some up to 7 months. So this is why we should not wait another month. If the legislators decide they want to wait until January or until the whole 45 days are up and then declare another a special session, it can go into end of February. Then you have 3 months now where you spend hundreds of millions of dollars each time more than we take in. So it is extremely important to start with that right now. That's the fiscally responsible thing to do. And like I said, that I think any governor, it's not just me, any governor that sits here would do exactly the same thing.
Governor, your next budget dipped significantly into Governor-elect Brown's 11-12 budget and includes major decisions like eliminating CalWorks in his first year. Shouldn't that kind of decision be under Governor Brown's purview?
Yes, when he gets into office, he can make any decision he wants.
But you're relying on it for a significant amount of reductions in this.
He can make the changes.
So why
he maybe will look at it differently, but I guarantee you that no matter how you look at it, you will not find more money. There is no more money except when the economy comes back. The most important thing is, no matter how you look at it, we can talk from here to eternity about all of this. We are spending more money we are taking in. And I have to say also, as I say, that we're not the only state in the union, because sometimes when you turn on television, it looks like we are the only state that has this problem. The fact of the matter is, every state, every country in the world, when you go around, has similar problems to that. This right now, as I said, 2 years ago, the whole world is worth, 1/3 less, and if you cannot adapt to that, then you will have a problem. And that's exactly what happened. Some places have continued spending, including California. Yes.
Your budget includes a lot of cuts that would deeply affect the poor. At the same time, you are planning to attend a farewell party that's backed by some special interests, including Cal Chamber. I wonder if attending that party sends the right message in such austere times.
Yes. The wrap party sends the message that we want to say thank you to the people that have worked very hard the last 7 years. And there's a lot of state employees that have worked very hard. They had made sacrifices. There's cabinet secretaries. There's people in the horseshoe that have worked tirelessly many times over weekends and during the nights. And there's people that have helped us in this last 7 years from the outside, from labor to businesses. So we want to include everyone, and we want to say thank you to those people. And so it's not, we don't use any tax money, as you know. We only use money from donations, and and whatever is then left that needs to be taken care of, I will personally pay for that. And so that's, I think it's the appropriate thing to do, to say thank you to those people.
Governor,
yes.
Do you plan on doing anything different to try to convince the legislature to make some of these cuts? For instance, CalWorks, that's already been brought up, was suggested before the legislature turned it down. How do you get them to do this when they haven't done it before?
Sometimes you try something over and over again, and you never give up. As you remember, with redistricting, we failed 5 times, and the 6th time it won. And the same is also with budget reform. We have tried since the last 7 years to have budget reform and to create a rainy day fund, and we were not successful. And finally, in the last budget negotiations, we were successful, and to create a rainy day fund, which will be on the 2012 ballot. So, the legislature, I have faith in them. Yes, we didn't get everything done that I've asked them to do, but that is understandable. They're not going to do exactly what I want them to do. But I think that one should not discredit all the work that has been done over this last few years. It's really extraordinary. The amount of cuts that the legislators also have made is really extraordinary. They had to dig in deep. And the important thing now is that we change the political system in such a way that when redistricting kicks in and when open primaries will kick in, you will see a little bit of change up here. It's not going to be 100% change, but it's going to be some change up here so that people don't get punished anymore when they do the right thing, when they do what is right for the people. Like 2 years ago when we did the budget, when Republicans were canned and Democrats were punished when they saw billboards in their neighborhoods because they made cuts and so on. So that's the kind of thing we want to kind of slowly get rid of, because then legislators will make even better decisions and can improve so that they're not so worried about getting reelected and all that. So that's those changes I'm looking forward to. It's too bad that all of the reforms, outside of maybe workers' comp reform, came so late because it took that many years to get those reforms done it will only benefit the next administration and the administration after that. But that's okay, because we're not just here thinking about ourselves. It's not about me, it's about California. So I think California is going to benefit from that in the future, and that's the important thing, and it was really worth fighting for, to fight for all of those reforms.
Thank you, Governor.
Okay, thanks very much. Thank you.